What if I told you your student could attend a private university for about what you thought you were going to pay for a public university? Most families don't think that way. They start with a list of schools their student wants to attend. They look at the published tuition. They see a $70,000 private university and think, that's too expensive. Then they see a public university at $30,000 or $35,000 and think, that's the affordable option. But there's a problem with that comparison. You're comparing the sticker price, not the actual price. And there's something most families don't realize about college. Colleges can be buyers or sellers. Think about it like this. A seller is a college with strong demand. Lots of qualified students want to attend. The college doesn't have to work as hard to convince students to enroll. They're essentially saying, here's what it costs. Do you want to come? That's a seller. But then there's the buyer. A buyer is a college that has to compete for the students it wants. It may use merit scholarships, institutional grants, and other discounts to attract students who strengthen its incoming class. The college is essentially saying, we want your student. What can we offer to get them here? And this is where college strategy becomes incredibly important, because the exact same student can be a buyer at one college and a seller at another. A student near the top of one college's academic profile may receive a completely different financial offer than that same student near the bottom of another college's profile. The goal isn't simply to find colleges that will accept your student. The goal is to find colleges where your student has leverage. So that $70,000 private university, it may not actually cost $70,000. If the college wants your student, it may offer $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, sometimes even a full scholarship. Now the conversation changes. That private university might cost the same as the public university. It might even cost less. That's the difference between shopping for a college and positioning a student for college. But the financial piece is only half of the story, because we need to ask a much bigger question. Are we sending our kids to college just to get a degree? Or are we sending them there to build a career? Because a diploma is not the finish line, it's the starting line. And this is where the difference between schools can become enormous. Imagine your student goes to a huge university. They're one of thousands of students taking the same classes, competing for internships, research opportunities, and leadership positions. Thousands trying to get the professor's attention to get the recommendation. And eventually, thousands graduating at roughly the same time and entering the workforce looking for their first opportunity. They're all competing for the same jobs. The degree gets them into the conversation, but what gets them the job? Their experience, their skills, their internships, their relationships, their recommendations, their ability to stand out. And here's what families don't always realize. The opportunities inside a university aren't necessarily distributed equally. The top students often get invited into them. They're selected for research, they're recruited for internships, they're invited into special programs, they're introduced to alumni, they're recommended for opportunities. They're the students employers are looking for. And if your student isn't one of the students being pulled into those opportunities, they may have to go find them on their own. Now, compare that with a school where your student is being actively invested in. The difference isn't just what's happening in the classroom, it's what happens outside the classroom. Accessible professors, mentorship, internships, research, study abroad programs, career development, alumni relationships, and opportunities that students are actually invited into. The best college experience isn't just, I earned a degree. It's, here's what I did with that degree. This is one reason I want families to stop automatically eliminating private universities or lesser known name schools because of their price tag, or they don't have the marketing budget as the colleges you see on Saturday night primetime football. At some private universities, students can have greater access to professors and career resources. They can build relationships with faculty. They can develop relationships with alumni. They can be connected to internships. And employers can actively recruit on campus. Think about what that means. An employer isn't waiting for 10,000 graduates to submit an online application. They're coming to the college looking for students. They may have relationships with the university. They may recruit from specific programs. They may interview students on campus. And the students who have positioned themselves to take advantage of those relationships get access to opportunities. That's a very different experience from simply graduating and hoping your resume gets noticed. Because when your student graduates, they're not just taking a diploma with them. They're taking their skills, experience, relationships, recommendations, and reputation. Think about the difference. One student graduates and sends their resume into an online application system along with thousands of other graduates. Another student has a professor who knows them, an internship supervisor who can recommend them, an alumnus who knows their work, a career center that knows their goals, employers who have recruited from their program, and a network of people who can say, "I know this student, you should talk to them." That's a completely different starting point. So ask yourself, when your student graduates, what do you want them to have? Just a degree and a diploma they can hang on their wall? Or a degree plus a resume and they are off into the workplace earning a living? Because that's what we're really talking about. You're not just buying 4 years of college. You're investing in what your student walks away with after those 4 years. And now, bring the two ideas together. The college that wants your student may be willing to pay more to get them there. And once your student gets there, that institution has a reason to see them succeed. That's the buyer. They're competing for your student. And your student has leverage. Compare that to the seller. The school has plenty of qualified applicants. Your student wants them. The school doesn't necessarily have to compete for them. So who has the leverage? The college does. That's why where your student sits within a college's academic profile matters so much. You don't want your student to be fighting to prove they belong. You want to identify schools where the college looks at your student and says, "We want them." And parents need to ask themselves one uncomfortable question. Are we choosing a college because it's the best investment for our student, or because it's the school our student wants? Because there's a difference. Your student is choosing where they want to go, but you're helping pay for what they are going to get when they get there. And if you're going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a college education, shouldn't you look at the return on that investment? Not just the name, not just the ranking, not just the bumper sticker. The return. So don't automatically eliminate a private university because of its $70,000 price tag. And don't automatically choose a public university because its sticker price looks cheaper. Look at the net cost. Look at the academic fit. Look at the opportunities. Look at the internships. Look at the career pipeline. Look at the alumni network. Look at the relationships your student can build. And most importantly, look at whether the college wants your student badly enough to invest in them. Because sometimes the best financial decision isn't finding the cheapest college. It's finding the college where your student can get the most opportunity for what you actually pay. A place where they aren't just one of thousands fighting for every opportunity. A place where they can be known, where they can be mentored, where they can build relationships, where employers come looking for students, where internships can lead to job offers, where professors can become mentors, where alumni can become connections, and where the university is helping them build more than a degree. They're helping them build a career. And yes, sometimes that means a private university for a public school cost. Don't just apply, position.